In talking about those benefits that the Sierra Group brings to somebody who's looking to sell their house and the challenges within the market, one of those challenges is no matter how you try to sell your house in today's real estate market, you are due for some unavoidable costs, correct?
That's accurate. No matter how a person tries to sell their house, there are what we term transaction costs involved with that sale of the property if they want to sell. There's initially marketing cost. So no matter how a house is sold, you need someone to find a buyer for you. Whether that's signage, whether that's getting the services of a real estate agent, and typically their fees are from 5 to 7%. But there needs to be some marketing to attract a buyer to the house. There's what we term a buyer's discount, which is nothing more than the fact that, especially in the market, buyers typically do not pay asking price. They will typically always offer something less than that asking price, and so that has to be accounted for.
And I would imagine that there's even more costs associated when you think about buyers' closing costs and just closing costs in general, of course, going all the way back to the conversation about repairs and whatnot too. That's all hard fundamental costs.
Correct. The seller will, of course, have their closing costs, which are typically about 2 or 3% of the transaction price. And even though most sellers don't realize it, they do need to worry about the buyer's closing costs in today's market. If a person can actually get qualified to buy a house in the market currently, they typically will want the seller to pay for some of their closing costs because they just want to get in it as light as possible. And of course, the big thing is those repairs. That if the whole house inspection or the appraiser comes up with deficiencies or repairs that need to be made in order to get a loan, again, typically this doesn't have to be done. It's all negotiable. But buyers want that seller to pay to
Sure.
take care of those items. That is a challenge and a big reality in today's market.
So Ben, tell me, as the Sierra Group comes in, how is it that these costs start getting eliminated?
We always pay for all the closing costs for the transaction, so that when we make an offer on a house, we don't make the offer and then get to the closing table and say, oh, by the way, there's these other fees and costs that you need to take care of. We pay for those. We do take those into account when we make the offer because, again, somebody has to pay for them, but we try and be as transparent, upfront, straightforward as we can so that it's very easy to understand what is being taken care of for them.